In the heart of the lush green forest, where sunlight danced between the leaves, lived a young elephant named Gama. His body was immense and sturdy, his legs like the pillars of old trees. His expression is full of soft concentration and kindness. However, behind his mighty appearance, whenever he walked, he stepped with great care. He is holding his step to avoid crushing a colorful wildflowers, the other foot carefully planting itself on the ground next to a bustling anthill. His eyes focused downward, so his large feet wouldn't crush the wildflowers or disturb an anthill. Despite his kindness, Gama was very lonely. His gigantic size frightened the other animals. If he tried to approach a group of rabbits at play, they would scatter in terror. He feels disappointment and sadness. If he wanted to greet a deer drinking from the river, it would bolt away in a flash. Gama often spent his time alone by the riverbank, gazing at his large reflection in the clear water. "If only I had a friend," he whispered to his own image. On another side of the woods, a small finch named Cici lived her days full of cheer. She flew nimbly from branch to branch, her wings beating quickly, carrying her cheerful songs throughout the forest. "Good morning, Mr. Squirrel. Good morning, monkey family." Cici is a true adventurer with an endless curiosity. From the sky, she could see everything. However, there was one sight that always caught her attention: a large elephant who always looked gloomy and alone by the river. Her endless curiosity is piqued by this unusual, solitary sight. One bright afternoon, Cici was busy searching for wild berries at the top of a tall tree. She hopped from one branch to another, pecking at the ripest red fruits. Suddenly, there was a terrible sound. Crack! The branch snapped. Cici's small nest, which was nearby, also slipped and began to fall. Inside were some of her most beautiful feathers, which she had painstakingly collected. "Help! Help! My home is falling!" Cici shrieked in panic. Beneath that very tree, Gama happened to be seeking shade from the sun. Hearing the cry for help, he looked up and saw a small object falling fast. Without a second thought, his kind instincts took over. He immediately stretched out his long, strong trunk. With incredible gentleness, the tip of his trunk caught the nest just inches before it hit the ground. Startled, Cici landed on Gama's sturdy trunk. She looked into the large eyes before her. There was no frightening look, only gentleness and concern. For the first time, Cici felt no fear at all of the forest giant. Gama was silent for a moment, surprised and overjoyed. This was the first time an animal had spoken to him without running away. A slow smile spread across his large face, and Cici looked happy and secure. From that day of the rescue onward, Gama and Cici became the best of friends. Cici is perched happily on Gama's head. They were a unique sight in the green forest. A tiny finch often perched comfortably on the head or back of a giant elephant. Their friendship opened up a new world for both of them. Cici became Gama's eyes in the sky. As they strolled, she would chatter merrily. "Gama, look! Behind that mountain peak, the fog is like a cotton blanket. And from up here, the river looks like a giant, shimmering silver snake." She would also show him where the rarest flowers bloomed on the highest treetops, a sight Gama could never have reached. In return, Gama showed Cici the wonders of the world below that were often missed. "Look, Cici," Gama whispered, pointing with his trunk. "Those are tiny mushrooms that glow in the dark." He also showed her the trails of ants marching in lines, so perfect they looked like a military parade, and invited Cici to breathe in the distinct scent of the earth after a fresh rain. They complemented each other, revealing the beauty of the world from perspectives they had never imagined. Their happiness was disturbed when the dry season arrived and lingered longer than usual. The sun blazed so intensely, it seemed to want to scorch the entire forest. The river, where the animals used to drink, began to shrink, leaving behind cracked mud. The once vibrant green leaves turned a yellowish brown and fell to the ground. Food and water became increasingly scarce. All the inhabitants of the forest grew anxious and weak. Gama felt his heart grow as dry as the forest floor. The air appears dry and dusty. The overall vibrancy has faded. He watched his forest friends panting with thirst. Gama's large eyes are filled with deep sorrow and empathy for his friends. With his tusks, he tried to dig into the dry riverbed, hoping to find any remaining water, but his efforts were in vain. High above, Cici flew listlessly. She saw her beloved forest losing its green color, turning into a dull, brown sea. Worry was in every flap of her wings. In the midst of despair, Cici decided to fly higher and farther than usual, leaving the parched brown forest behind. She flew over the barren, rocky hills, hoping to find a speck of hope. Just as her energy was about to run out, her eyes caught something in the distance. Beyond a cluster of high, rocky hills, there was a deep and vibrant shade of green. She was sure there was a water source there, perhaps a hidden waterfall that no one knew about. The problem was that the path to it seemed impossible, blocked by massive boulders and fallen trees. Her expression is a mix of overwhelming relief and new hope, but also a dawning realization of the enormous challenge. With her remaining strength, Cici flew back as fast as she could to Gama. Cici lands heavily on Gama's massive shoulder, panting visibly. "Gama, I found it! I found it! I found a source of water!" she exclaimed. She explained everything she had seen. "I can show you the way from above, but the path is blocked. Only you, Gama, are strong enough to clear the way for the other animals," Cici said, her eyes shining with renewed spirit. Gama looked at his tiny friend. The hope Cici brought reignited the spirit in his heart. Without a moment's hesitation, he nodded firmly.
"We will do it together."
"We will do it together," he said. This was their chance to help all their friends. They divided the tasks. Cici would be the guide from the air, and Gama would be the force to clear the path on the ground. News of Gama and Cici's plan spread quickly. Though hesitant, the thirsty and desperate animals decided to follow them. The small procession began their journey. Cici flew ahead, chirping loudly to give directions. "To the right, Gama. There's a ravine ahead. Straight on." Gama walks with immense purpose and determination. At the very front of the procession, their arduous path is completely blocked by a large boulder. He used his forehead and tusks to push it until it rolled aside. thud, the sound echoed, opening the way. When a giant, gnarled fallen log lies squarely across their path, blocking the way forward again. He wrapped his trunk around it, then lifted and moved it as if it were just a twig. The other animals, who had been following timidly, now began to look at Gama differently. They no longer saw a frightening giant, but a strong and kind leader. Inspired by the incredible teamwork between the small Cici and the large Gama, their spirits rose. The deer began to clear away small rocks. A nimble monkey is busily clearing away a cluster of fallen twigs and small branches from the path. They all worked together, turning the difficult journey into a mission filled with hope. After a long and arduous journey, Cici chirped from above with the most joyous tone. "We're here," and she was right. As Gama pushed aside the final boulder blocking their way, an extraordinary sight unfolded before them. Behind the rocky hills, a majestic waterfall cascaded clear water into a serene blue pool below, a hidden oasis. Cheers of joy erupted. Their faces are alight with unadulterated happiness and relief. All the thirsty animals, with renewed energy, are seen running excitedly, drinking to their heart's content, and playing joyfully in the water. The gloomy and silent forest was now filled with laughter and splashes of water from the crowd. A wise tiger, who was the king of the forest, stepped forward. He approached Gama and Cici. "Today, you have taught us all a very valuable lesson," he said with a dignified voice. "You have shown us that true strength comes not from size, but from kindness and cooperation. Friendship knows no size." The other animals are listening respectfully to the king's words. The forest king looked at Gama with great respect. "And you, Gama, we were wrong to misjudge you. You are not just big and strong. You are a hero to us all." From that day on, no animal in the green forest was ever afraid of Gama again. The story ends on a beautiful evening. By the edge of their newly found oasis, the sky was a golden orange. Gama stood at the edge of the pool, sucking water into his trunk, and then spraying it high into the air. The evening sun shone through the droplets, creating a small, beautiful rainbow. The serene blue pool reflects the colorful sky. Cici, his tiny friend, flew and danced among the water droplets and the rainbow, her chirps sounding like a melody of happiness. Gama never felt lonely again. He was surrounded by friends who respected and loved him. And Cici always had the best friend to go on adventures with. They had proven to the entire forest that differences were not a barrier. It was precisely because they were different, one large and strong, the other small and nimble, that their friendship was able to accomplish extraordinary things and save their home. Gama the elephant and Cici the finch, they were friends forever.